All right, back now on The Pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. Here to talk about the state of politics, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell and Troy Mayor Ethan Baker. Great to see you both. Nothing to see here. Nothing going on in the world of politics this year. It's quiet. It's quiet. All right, let's talk about a couple things here. Let's begin with what we're seeing happen and unfold in front of us. And I guess I'll begin with the Republican in the room. When you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene stepping down, you see the rift in the fight. It begs the question, is there a rift within the MAGA party and the loyal followers of President Trump that you notice and you see yourself?
I don't know. I don't see a ton of people rallying towards Marjorie Taylor Greene, and suddenly they're Marjorie Taylor Greene Republicans, right? The MTG group. It's not. I don't see that as much. I think she clearly has made her case, has made her point. She's standing where she's standing, and the president didn't like it, and he said, "You're going to lose my help. In fact, I'm going to actively go against you." She probably had some security concerns, I would guess, knowing the way things are going, and said, "I don't need this anymore," and she'll move on to something bigger and better in her mind. I think. I don't necessarily buy that she's doing what the framers suggested by serving for a few terms and then going back to your regular business. But I don't see the big faction that you're asking about. I still think they're the MAGA Republicans and then maybe some non-MAGA Republicans, but I don't think that MAGA party is splitting as much at this point.
What about Congresswoman Dingell? You know Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know the representative, you're in the room where it all happens. What do we make of this break right now?
Well, I would actually disagree with my friend on one thing, which is I do think that there's a mega break, and I think her resignation is triggering many other members to talk about the way that they feel about how the White House is treating them. There were a number of articles today that reflected there may be more resignations to follow. And quite frankly, when you look at the vote that it ultimately was on making the Epstein files public, one Republican voted against it. Yeah. The senators were unanimous, and Donald Trump ended up signing it. And why did we have to spend so much time on making public what people that have treated children, perpetrators of just absolute, I mean,
Congresswoman, there was a time that I sat on this set, just like 3-4 months ago, and I said, if I said anything negative at all about President Donald Trump, it was as though President Trump is like a demigod that could do no wrong. And the MAGA followers would say, how dare you talk about our leader? I don't feel like that's the same thing that's happening.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like there could be a little bit of a break.
I do think.
But is it a break from the president, or it's not a split in the? I mean, are there pro-MAGA or pro-Trump MAGAs and non-pro-Trump?
I don't
know,
but I don't think that's a MAGA break. I think that's maybe a Republican break from the president.
Although I think there are not as many people that are part of the MAGA movement as there were, because they're really worried about the same issues. I mean, I think everybody agreed that the Epstein files should be made public. But the cost of the economic costs, the cost of food, housing, health care were an issue last year, and they thought somebody was going to help them, and nobody's helped them. The prices have gone, the cost of everything has gone up. So
Mayor Baker, go ahead.
Is that the president becoming a lame duck then at this point?
No, I think they're mad at all politicians too, if we're going to be really honest.
I mean, the affordability issue, the pocketbook issues are what people are really caring about. I don't know that people are talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene as much. I don't know that they're talking about a lot of the stuff that we're seeing drive the news stories.
I do think they talked about Epstein.
Well, Epstein for sure.
I think that Epstein mattered to people, that what they saw was, it was outrageous. He campaigned on a promise to make those files transparent, then he didn't.
This president also campaigned on a promise to make things more affordable. And we have an affordability crisis. You can cut the numbers any way you want. Right now we have consumer confidence reported today at an all-time low as of his administration. Inflation is up 3% from a year ago. And there are so many people out there who are worried about their benefits, are worried about Medicaid. Did this president fail us on his promises when it comes to the economy?
That one's for me, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I bet I know what the congresswoman would say.
Promises made, promises not delivered.
He said that within the first few months of being in office, we would see
there hasn't been the focus on the economy and the affordability issue that I do think that many people who voted for the president were expecting to see. In fact, we heard and we saw time and time again that Biden and Harris weren't addressing the economic needs of this country, so it's a really easy decision to make. You vote for the other guy, which is what they did. And no, he came out and has taken a lot of other courses that, internationally, he's done way more in the international world than I think a lot of people who voted for him even knew he had an interest in, that he would do that.
And in fairness, it's fair to say that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, when they were in office, made a lot of promises about securing both our economy and the border. And you could argue that they didn't serve on their promises either. So this is politicians
I would
not serving
disagree
up.
with you.
Why would you
On
disagree?
some of the promises that were, I mean, let's look at what's happened, what's gone up. He said he would reduce utility costs by 50%. The reality is he's backed off on all of many of the things that were in place that actually lowered the cost of the energy, especially on renewables. Wind and solar are cheaper than oil and gas. He has backed off on that. Joe Biden helped bring those into the forefront. When you look, we don't have a farm bill. He's been increasing the cost. And tariffs, let us be really blunt about what tariffs have done. They've increased the cost of everything.
But don't you think VP Harris, when she was running for office, could have acknowledged some of the deep economic pain that many people are feeling, both in rural and city and urban
I don't
areas?
think she didn't acknowledge it. I've been on this show with you. We both agreed. People have been hurting for a while. I mean, I go to Kroger every Sunday morning. People bring the food up to me to say, do you see how much this costs?
2 minutes left. Let's talk about the Democratic Party.
Will you fix that? Because I've got Thanksgiving to cook.
We all have
Thanksgiving prices are up 10%.
Senator Cory Booker says, I have not ruled it out. Governor Gavin Newsom says, of course I'm thinking about it, talking about a run for president. Let's go to you, Ethan Baker, the mayor of Troy. These are two
I'm not running for president.
I know you're not. But these are two people that are tossing their name into the hat. The viability of someone like them, and how early is it important for these men and women to get into the race now if they're trying to face someone like Donald Trump?
Well, they're not facing Donald Trump in 2028, so it's going to be a whole different look. But I think the issue is
But facing the MAGA movement, right?
I guess so. But you know, that's on the Democratic side, and I think that there's a big question as to who it's going to be. So they might as well say, "Hey, I'm considering it." And it does. You know, the article talks about how it used to be much more coy. You were much more coy when you talk about running for president. You wouldn't answer directly. That obviously has changed. We're in such a different world with how we address these issues. But I think there's a risk in that. I mean, I think the risk in not saying anything is people move past you so fast and they go to the shiny object and they talk about Gavin Newsom or not. But, you know, good for them for being honest for once. I mean, the risk is people hide behind those statements forever, and then we're like, well, we all know you're running.
And by the way, yes, we're not talking about running against Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's party. And if they're ready to do that, don't they have to step into the ring now? Are they wasting time right now, Congresswoman Dingell? Shouldn't there be a face of the Democratic Party?
I think I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that Democrats have a primary caucus system that tests every single candidate, and that they're talking about the issues now and leading up to it in the early primaries. They're going to be talked about in October of 28. So
because we know we didn't have that with VP Harris.
We need, and
I'd love the Republicans to do the same thing, frankly. I don't think we should have an anointed chosen one as the next person. And I don't
think you do yet.
Well, I think that between Secretary Rubio and Vice President Vance, I mean, those are two viable candidates, obviously. I don't know that they're the ones that are going to end up being
Let's test these candidates. Let's see how they stand up under pressure.
You mean actually do what the system was meant to do, and actually test the
I think
candidates
that's what the people want.
That's what the people want.
And you both know what the people want, both in Troy and for your district, of course, here in Michigan and in Washington. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, Mayor Ethan Baker, good to see you both. Thanks for joining us on The Pulse tonight. All right, we're going inside AI after the break. Is the dot-com bubble all over again? Open University Associate Professor of Management Michael Greiner weighing in on AI and its viability moving forward. That's next here on The Pulse.